Alright everybody, what we're going to be doing in this video is explaining the new epic Okubi and showing some gameplay footage of him and where I use him. We are running currently Queen 12, and I'm using a fairly standard poison team. Zadlux clears the wave, and then we have the poison duo of Ganglio Santis, and then I slotted Okubi in to show exactly where I believe his best. Now, I do believe Okubi is best used when paired with Santis and Ganglio, or the poison type of composition people. Why? Well, one, he can apply poison on his ultimate ability, which applies either ignite, bleeding, or poison. He's a damage over time composition, but also he applies no positive effects as well on his second ability. What that's going to do is make it where the enemy cannot apply ability immune, and that will obviously work very well in tandem with applying poisons off of our Ganglio Santis poison duo. Now, the passive on him means when you have Demonic Flora up, which lasts for 2 turns, every time you summon it on a 3-turn cooldown, so you basically get the majority of the time. Whenever someone applies a debuff, it's going to apply a random stat down. And what you saw there was Santis applied 2 poisons on their basic, meaning that Queen of Tides received 2 random stat downs. Okay, got attack down, for instance. You can get defense down, crit down. You can get resistance down even. Speaking of resistance down, that's what Okubi's basic does. Okubi's basic is going to apply resistance down. And what that is going to do is allow it to be easier to apply the poisons and, for instance, the debuffs himself. However, Okubi is going to need to have a lot of focus on him, because I do believe Okubi is best used with his passive, where it applies those random stat down and the no positive effect from the A2. What this does is basically make the person everything stripped down entirely from not being able to apply buffs onto themselves. The stats are removed. And then if you have Ganglio as well, Ganglio, which is kind of the primary person you want to use with him, Ganglio, Santis, and Okubi's kind of the trio, then Ganglio also has unhealable. So the person can't heal, all their stats are reduced, and they can't apply positive effects. That's a really rough position to be in. And you can see here that's essentially the position Queen of Tides is in. You can see that he just tried to cast ability immune onto her, and it did not land because of the fact that Okubi has no positive effects. So he can be quite good there. Now, his damage is what I would say fairly lackluster. It's not like Demonic Flora is going to be putting out the majority of your damage, and you can't select if he does poison, ignite, or whatever. It is random, and it's random on every person, so you can both apply ignite to the person on the left, poison in the middle, and bleeding on the right, okay? So it's inconsistent in terms of Okubi actually applying damage himself. But that's not really the reason you use him. You use him in tandem with the heroes I've already mentioned, and it can be very good because you don't need him to be in a curse set, which is what you normally want, like Ganglio and Santis to be in, for instance. I'll show you the actual gear I use on this hero. The curse set won't really do anything because all it's really going to do is apply a resistance down, which you can get anyway straight up from the passive. So you don't really need it. When I actually build his gear, all I'm really worried about, if you look at the stats, is I want him as tanky as I can get him, and I want him to have focus. He has 100% focus because all he really does is apply effects, and he applies effects out of turn, so that's quite important to have the focus. Now, if you're doing Gemini or something, you're going to want him to go before the Gemini Dragon, so you're going to want more speed on him. But really, all I'm worrying about at the moment is just primarily focus and some tanky stats, and that's about it. You can see I don't even have him fully glyphed. Obviously, the Ascension, we only have 1. I don't have all these other ones or anything like that, so there's a ton of room to grow with this guy, but I have been using him, and I was able to clear Gemini Dragon 12 using him as well on auto. Oh, my TV's yelling at me. Even though it's not 100% win rate, I know it'll be 100% win rate once I got to work on my hack run a little bit as well. If you're thinking about building a Okubi and you don't have Ganglio, he might be a hero to wait on. However, you compare him with Santis, who is 100% free to play because it's a synthesis hero. And I do think if you pull this hero, it's not somebody you have to be bummed out about. This is, in fact, a usable hero and will scale really good as the game comes out with more PvE type of things. Also, his info, if you look at here, Demonic Flora is AoE damage to all enemies, not a few enemies, it's all enemies. So this is somebody that's going to apply this Bleeding Ignite Poison to everybody. And because it's Ignite, and Poison, and Bleeding. He fits into basically any compositions. You can fit him into the Scarlet Bleeding composition, you can fit him into the Gangliosantis composition, and you can fit him into the Azrina Ignite composition. So you don't have to worry 100% about it being just a poison comp, but I do believe that is where he shines best, okay? Now, the abilities, you really are going to have hit this one maxed out at a minimum, because it gives you the ability cooldown reduced to 3, and considering it's a 2-turn ability, you're going to want it on the 3-turn cooldown. I wouldn't worry too much about these ones if you don't get them. It's just more damage, and the majority of his damage isn't coming from the flat damage he's doing, because if you look, he only has B tier attack. The damage is coming instead from the abilities in which he's using and assisting the other people who are placing the abilities. So in my personal opinion, I think he's a solid 7 out of 10. He's definitely usable. The gear you're going to want to put on him, you can see I just have like health primaries. You probably want some speed boots to get him to go first in the Gemini Dragon. And then if you're looking here, health with speed, focus. I got lots of focus on here. Don't worry about the crit. Just trying to make him tanky as possible. That's my opinion on him. 7 out of 10. Think he's quite good, and I think as more poison and more damage over time type of compositions come out, more heroes come out, these comps will get better and better and better. Currently, the paywall or the block is getting your hands on Ganglio, and I really hope they make Ganglio like the next battle pass, because that would be a great hero, for instance. Love y'all. Consider subscribing or liking this video if you want to see more guides, and I'll see you on the next one.